Starts with that inner yes. That inner yes, I desire to make an impact. I desire to be a beneficial presence on planet Earth. I desire to live my heart's desire. Whatever that is, we want to make that decision to make an impact as a visionary. And as somebody who's neurodivergent, that sense of structure and focus helps alleviate a lot of the existential loneliness. Translating neurodivergent vision into impact. Hi friends, it's Dianne here at Someone Gets Me, and this evening I want to talk about being a visionary leader and how we translate or bridge our vision, our ability to see things others can't see, and create a real impact. There's so many ways that we can take our vision and kind of swim around in it, never really quite get to the impact that our heart and our soul really want to see us accomplish. So I want to talk about how we can use our neurodiversity in our favor and things we want to look out for as we decide that we're going to make an impact. Now, I say decide on purpose because to decide means to cut out all of the possibilities. So for me, it starts with that inner yes. That inner yes, I desire to make an impact. I desire to be a beneficial presence on planet Earth. I desire to live my heart's desire. Whatever that is, we want to make that decision to make an impact as a visionary. And as somebody who's neurodivergent, that sense of structure and focus helps alleviate a lot of the existential loneliness. So if you have great visions and things you're thinking about and ideas and you're putting together data points and everything, and there's no structure, then you're going to have that experience often of kind of floating around like a pinball or maybe being tossed about on the sea. And what's going to happen is it will dissipate or get lost or get distracted from. And then you'll have that chronic sense of, I can't get there from here. I just can't quite get to the thing. That's where a lot of people call me because they're stuck in that outward spiral, in that kind of being tossed around because they are visionaries. They are neurodivergent and can see things. Yet the structure, the foundation, the way to go about having an impact with that vision is not quite honed yet. So that's where a mentor like me comes in, and because I can see it for you, right? And I can see it with you and help you create the structure. And so it's so funny because when I use the word structure, sometimes people go, oh, no, I don't want to be in a box. Now, I didn't say box. I said structure. And sometimes our ego, that's not our amigo, will have us run away from the very thing that serves us. Neurodivergent people need structure in order to have our influence in the world. Now, I believe that neurodivergent gifted people are here to bring great things to the world. I believe that all of us have an amazing mission, a purpose, something that's important. Whether we can identify it yet or not, that doesn't mean it's not there. So I really think that this episode is more about how are we going to take that vision and create impact. Now, I have three main little sections here that I want to talk about, but I'm sure I'll throw in some other things as I go. And the first thing is that visionaries often like to live in the future or the possibility or what can happen, right? I know I do it. I'm a visionary, and there's days I walk around and I think about all the possibilities. Well, if I let myself get caught into the visionary, all the possibilities, I miss the power of being present in today's moment. So it's a really beautiful dance. I kind of see it like this dance and this beautiful experience to be able to vision the possibilities, see the data, see what it is that your intuition, your heart is saying, and come into today with it. So it's almost like taking the visions and things that are out in the ethers that aren't quite here yet, but we can see them, and distill them down into today, the present moment. Because when we lose the present moment as a neurodivergent person or as a visionary, then we end up in that tossing around, kind of swimming and not really getting where we want to go. The next step after that is we get really frustrated and we have a hard time. We often can get irritable or not sleep well, or maybe our relationships even suffer because we can see something big or we can feel this big calling, yet we can't get there from here, right? Why? Because the structure is not supporting the goals, not supporting what we're trying to do. And so when the structure is either non-existent or maybe it's a misfit structure, which is true for a lot of us because the structures are misfit because we don't fit into the typical structure. So we have to create our own structure that will work for us. Otherwise, we're going to be frustrated. Otherwise, we're going to feel dismissed or even misunderstood. I recently had an experience where I was working with somebody and they misunderstood just about everything I said, partly because of their agenda and partly because they weren't listening. And we were operating under different mindsets. And so it was quite tricky for me to try to get across the structure that I was seeing and wanted to have happen with somebody who was unable to get there. So we can feel frustrated and misunderstood if we're not paying attention to our structure, because it was a real challenge for me. It's one of those things where I'm glad it's over, right? I'm glad it's over. Another thing that happens if we have a misaligned situation here is we feel alone. I did a retreat one time and of the 44 people at this retreat, I think it was like 32 or 33 of them wrote on this introductory paper that their number one issue was loneliness or afraid to be lonely or alone. And that spawned the book, The Loneliness Cure, which was my second book. Because I think that we miss the point that loneliness is somewhat about other people, but it's mostly about our own connection within us. If we're not connected to our own value, our own sense of self, our own inner landscape, it's real tricky to be connected to others and have that feeling of loneliness kind of dissipate. Now, alone and being lonely are two separate things. That's another podcast. But the point is, we want to have structure. We want to understand that as we let our visions come forward, as we see what's happening, as we, as twice exceptional gifted people, start to realize we want to really make an impact, and we make that decision to make an impact, we have to realize there must be some form of structure. We can't just throw it into the wind and know it's going to work. Yes, that's true. In a lot of situations in our life, we can do that because it might take you 2 or 3 hours to do, it might take somebody else 8. And so you have all that leeway, right? We all know what that is. And real impact comes with structure. The second thing I want to talk about is about trusting yourself, because I think trusting yourself is vital. I know in the very beginning of me even being aware that I was neurodivergent, I didn't know that word then. I knew I was gifted and I knew I was different, and it was hard to trust myself because as a visionary, I could see things others couldn't see, but yet the people around me kept discounting and not understanding or ignoring what I was seeing. And so there was a lot of emotional turmoil and chaos and difficulty way back then. Now, in my current life, I have a lot of trust in myself. And I know what I say and I know what I mean and I pay attention. I remember learning the phrase, your yes means yes, your no means no, right? And I think that that's a spiritual truth. And a spiritual truth means paying attention to our essence, right? Our essence says your yes means yes, your no means no. You don't want to say yes and mean no and say no and mean yes. I have some people go, oh, I'll try, Diane. I'll try to do the homework you give me. I'll try to make an impact. My response to that, I will try, is that trying is a noisy way of doing nothing. The last time you said you were going to try to make a party or try to make an event, you didn't, or you showed up against your will, right? So trying is a noisy way of doing nothing. And really what we want to practice doing is trusting ourselves so that doubt can start to disappear. because what you're seeing is ahead of the curve. It's ahead of popular culture. And so it's easy to doubt it. And you're meant to see something beyond the curve. You're meant to see that thing, that idea, that vision, that construct, that structure. You're meant to see it ahead of everyone else. So when we look around and no one else is seeing it, and often if you're very sensitive or you're an empath or you haven't really learned this level of self-trust, you might start doubting yourself or even believing that you don't have the authority to bring out into the world the very thing that your heart is saying, yes, you do, yes, you do. So see that split, that divide, that inner conflict becomes a situation that impairs our ability to have impact as neurodivergent visionaries when we don't have a structure and we haven't learned how to trust ourselves. I know that when I'm writing in my journal, what I'm writing about today that I can see visionary wise usually shows up in the world in about 2 to 5 years. Not a week, not by lunchtime tomorrow or over the weekend. It takes years sometimes for the things that I can see visionary wise to come to fruition. Some of the people that I work with, it's the same thing. They can see these things. And so part of walking down the path as a neurodivergent visionary is to decide we're going to make impact and realize that it's not going to happen the way we think it is. That no matter what we think, that's not it. It's going to be different by the nature of the way the world works. Because you're going to see it today. The world's going to evolve and change, and you are too, right? All of it expands in unity, diversity, complexity. So that expansion happens over 90 days, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years before what you're seeing actually starts dropping down into reality. And then you will have changed. You will have made improvements on yourself. You will have raised your vibration. You will have shifted as the world has as well. So it's not going to look like it did years before. It's going to be even more amazing in whatever way that would be, right? I think that's what's so exciting is the best thing I can see right now isn't it because it's so much better. Because as I am willing and say yes to growing and changing and evolving, then as I grow and change and the world grows and changes, the opportunities expand. And as a visionary and somebody who's neurodivergent who can put things together and think and process, we can make much greater impact than we realize. The third thing I want to talk about is that our leadership requires us to have protected and dedicated time. Overexposure or overworking or putting ourselves out there all of the time without protected, dedicated rejuvenation time, without protected time that we protect for ourselves to charge our batteries, to allow our creativity to flow, to be in that place that's so amazing. We have to give ourselves permission to do that. And so often people don't. So often they think that because we're smart, we can go and go and go like we're machines. And people are not machines. We're human beings, not human doings, folks. So it's so vitally important that we give ourselves time apart for a while, that we retreat. I just conducted a retreat recently for people who are neurodivergent to just come apart from the world for a few days and have some time and space to connect and to create. And so that constant exposure that we have in our world with constant social media, constant this, constant that, boom, 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 bombarding with stuff drives down our visionary impact. It creates a block, if you will. It's overwhelming and can make us shut down on the inside because it's just too much. I tell people that sometimes, like, okay, the pinball machine's on tilt. It's too much. We're stopping now. And they look at me funny, like, what do you mean you're stopping now, Diane? I'm like, okay, I'm done. My brain is done for the day. We will talk about whatever it is tomorrow or another day. But right now, there's nothing else left here. I have spent all my energy on this day, and now it's relaxation or sleep. So we want to have a strategy to recharge our batteries. So what's your strategy for solitude or meditation or quiet time? What's your strategy to come apart from the daily grind for a while and take care of you? So many of us don't take care of ourselves first. It's just like the oxygen mask in the airplane. You have to put it on you before you help anyone else. You have to put it on you before that amazing vision of yours has great impact. So we want to have protected and dedicated time for that. I know that I do a midday meditation, a reset meditation, that I did a guided meditation for a reset meditation on my Visionary Leaders podcast. But I've also done it live for people, and I do it for myself, where I just turn everything off in the middle of the day and take 15, 20 minutes and just reset, start all over. Whatever's happened during the beginning of the day is great. Now we're on another day. Breathing, realigning, and grounding. It's so important to have that be part of our daily truth, where we're taking care of ourselves, we're giving ourselves protected solitude, protected time to recharge in whatever way works for us. Because if you're going to make an impact and be a beneficial presence here on earth, then it requires you as a neurodivergent visionary to be able to see, connect to, understand, and then translate and distill down into meaningful actions and words and ideas. That takes energy. It takes focus. It's your gift. And because you're not a machine, taking care of yourself first is a requirement. So where we're taught in this culture, especially women, to take care of everybody else first and not themselves, that doesn't work for visionaries who are trying to make an impact. If you're going to make an impact, you can't take care of all of the people before you take care of you. Because I spent 2 days in my retreat giving, taking care of everyone else. But I also spent 2 days before the retreat taking care of myself, and then time afterwards taking care of myself. And I still continue to do that. Because if I'm not fueling me and taking care of me with some protected and dedicated time apart to journal, to meditate, to stretch, to hydrate, whatever it is that is needed for my system, then the impact that my heart and soul wants to make always falls a little short. It always feels a little off, always not quite there. And I don't know about you, but I like to achieve the goals I set. I like to feel fulfilled and happy and satisfied with the impact that my work is making, the impact of my presence in people's life is doing. So in order for you as a visionary to make a great impact, it's vital that you take time apart for yourself every day, that you have a strategy and a structure for how you're going to bring your impact forward. How are you going to distill that vision into something meaningful? That matters very, very much. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, had a phrase that I love too. And he always said, always reserve the right to change your mind. So you can put up with the best structure and the best foundation and have it all set, and then have an epiphany tomorrow and the structure needs to shift. And that's totally okay. But what matters is that there is a structure. There is a focus on your impact, because your impact in the world is necessary for all of humanity. My impact is necessary for all of humanity. All of our impact is necessary for all of humanity. And I believe that when we know we're here to make an impact and we decline that invitation, that we are cheating ourselves and all other sentient beings. So I take it very seriously. So you, my neurodivergent, visionary, gifted friend, you are here with a great purpose. So just remember that. Now, as always, you can schedule a get to know you call with me if you want to talk about this further. Grab one of the books, of my books, Meditations for Visionary Leaders book is a really great book. There's all kinds of resources from myself and others to help you along your journey, to help you with your structure, to help you not be stuck, and most of all, to help you feel satisfied and happy. I hope this episode has served you. And remember, until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, to put your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you're a rock star. You're here on purpose with a mighty purpose. So go out there and let your light shine. Bring your impact forward, and let's do it. Say yes to yourself. Until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, this is Dianne saying, be well.